All right, I'm back. I'm inside the event. I hope the rest of you can join me. I'm sorry for that. Facebook is changing the way their lives are going, so you have a number of options. And since this is my second one, hey Eve, hey Anda, I'm glad you joined me. Sorry about those technical difficulties. I'm usually pretty tech savvy, but I started playing around with it, and then Google Chrome is a little different than my Explorer, so yeah, it's all good. I hope Chad comes back. Melissa, are you out there? Okay, well, right now it's just Anda and Eve, and we'll just wait. Hey guys, how are you doing today? I know Eve has been working her hiney off with Easy Street Delivery, and we thank you for that, giving us options while we're all cooped up in the house to trying to reduce the glare on my glasses while we're all cooped up in the house. So thank you. Anda, are you off of quarantine? I'm good. I'm good. I'm going a little stir crazy. I'm on day 12 of quarantine. So things are just a little bit nuts right now. Just a little crazy. Okay. All right. You went back to work on Monday. Hey, Melissa, how are you? I'm glad everybody's popping in. I had Roberta and Chad when I had the other window open, so I'm hoping they rejoin us. All right. Glad Melissa's here. Glad Anda's here. Eve, I'm glad you could take time off and join us this morning or afternoon. How many of you guys have felt that this whole coronavirus situation has, hey, Jasmine, good to see you, has kind of taken our schedule and completely knocked it off whack. Like, I don't even know it's Saturday until I look at my watch and, oh, it's Saturday, because everything is just so nuts. Okay, so we have a good amount of people here. We have a few people, so I'm going to go ahead and get started because I don't like to keep these more than 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the questions that come up. And there's a lot of information that I want to cover today. So I'm going to start with this week's announcements in the travel world. Last week, I had some tidbits to share about what's been going on in the travel world for you guys. And this week has been just as eventful, unfortunately. Melissa, it's like living with 3 newborns. That's funny stuff there. Okay, so first off, in the middle of the week, Royal Caribbean International announced a extension of their travel pause with their cruise line until middle of May 10th. Not unexpected, but still kind of detrimental because there's a lot of people at the beginning of May, because this is the start of the summer season, that we're really looking forward to starting to cruise. So Carnival had announced that they were going to follow with a big announcement on Friday as well. Well, they didn't. They posted an announcement yesterday that they're going to make their big announcement on Monday. And in the original cancellations, everybody had until March 31st for April sailings to make their decisions about what they were going to do with those sailings. So everybody's a little on edge about them not sharing their announcement to follow Royal's announcement. So everybody's kind of anxious right now, especially us. I know, and it's like making us wait until Monday. Yeah, you and me both, because I was fully prepared to work through the weekend to get my clients rebooked, to look at all the options and touch base with everybody. So I was not happy with this announcement either. So trust me, I want to make sure you guys can travel, but we want to do it safely. So their postponement kind of put an edge on everybody. Another big announcement was from Disney. Disney has closed all resorts, Alani, Disney Cruise Line, until further notice. They have not even given a date of when they're going to project to reopen. So that's pretty telling. And I think it's probably a wise, hey, Andrea, good to see you. It's probably a wise move on their part to keep it open-ended. Because what's going to happen is every time, oh, you're good, we're just getting kicked off. I had some technical difficulties. I'm sorry about that. So where was I? Disney. Okay, so they left it an open-ended pause in service. So it's not a bad thing, because instead of them trying to reopen at a certain date, and then if they can't, they would have to go through the whole process of refunding, rebookings, everything. So it's not a bad move on their part, because everything is very open-ended right now. The Real ID, because of the closures of OMVs and DMVs across the country, the Real ID, which was supposed to take effect on 1 October, is now extended till 1 October 2021. So we've got another year and a half to get everybody's Real ID, to get those passports, to take care of those things. It's the third extension actually of the Real ID Act, but in this case, it's obviously not viable for anybody to go get their Real ID in today's. Yeah, Roberta, woohoo! I know, I haven't done it yet either. My passport is always good to go, but I don't particularly care for going to the DMV, so I've been postponing that. So now there's no excuses. 2021, October 1, 2021, Real ID. We also, Alaska has been an issue. When sailings were going to resume in Alaska, especially with Seattle closing its port. Right now, it looks like July 1 might be the starting date for Alaska again, but that is up in the air based on whether Canada reopens their borders, and Seattle is good to go with their port. So Alaska is very tentative right now, as is Canada. So any travel between Canada and Alaska, right now it's projected not until towards the end of the summer. That could change, but that's the general projections right now. So those are the big announcements for this week as far as what's going on in the travel industry. Of course, the CARES Act has been up for discussion by a lot of our travel agent in the travel agent world, because there may be some benefits to home-based advisors like myself, small businesses, so that we can keep our doors open during this time, because obviously nobody's traveling. We're not booking travel as much as we normally do. So the CARES Act is something that the travel industry is dissecting and funneling down to home-based franchises like myself. So I'm hoping, I won't need it, but it's good that it may be there for us to use. Okay, so enough about the bad news. How's everybody doing on quarantine? I think the only one that's not on quarantine, Roberta, you're still at work, right? You're definitely an essential business, and I think Andrea and Anda are still working. Melissa is taking care of her family. Jasmine is wrangling 3 kids and trying to stay sane too, right? Like I said, I'm on day 12 of my self-quarantine, and it's definitely taken its toll. I'm getting very anxious to travel. How about you guys? Definitely very anxious. So last week we had some great questions come up in our discussion last week. And this week, I wanted to talk about bucket lists. So who actually did their bucket list homework? Anybody? So ready. Melissa, you're ready to travel. I know. Melissa has a wanderlust spirit like I do. And I think probably everybody that's on this feed loves to travel. So who actually did their bucket list? You did. Anda didn't do her homework. Oh my goodness. Roberta, why don't you type out the top 5 on your bucket list for us so we can take a quick look. Roberta wants to go to Hawaii. That's actually how we first started talking, is Roberta really, really wants to take a trip to Hawaii with her 2 daughters. And I think that's a fabulous plan. Hawaii is absolutely amazing. And we're going to come back to the number 1 thing on your bucket list. What else do you have on your bucket list, Roberta? Anda, what do you have on your bucket list? I know we've talked about a couple destinations in the past. I think Melissa has the whole world on her bucket list. But I really want to hone in on at least the top 3, if not 5, on your bucket list. Roberta, I'm easy to please. Okay, Hawaii. Hawaii it is. Who else has something to add to bucket lists? Okay. I think we've got some other people trying to come in, but they're not in the event. So let me open it real quick on Facebook. Sorry about that. I think you just blacked out. Okay, hang on. Hang tight. World Cruise, Bora Bora. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Definitely on mine. Okay. Oh, Angela is on the other. Okay, sorry, I took care of that. All right, so let's talk about Jerusalem. Okay, fantastic. Anda's bucket list is Europe, Alaska, train ride in the fall along the northeast coastline, Hawaii, and many more. Okay. Some great bucket lists. And I want you to hang tight on those bucket lists, okay? Because we're going to go through some steps on how to make that bucket list a reality. Talking about your dream trips and liking posts. Andrea wants to do a Thai food tour, and I'm all down for that. Definitely. Even though the Southeast, the Asian sector is really not high on my bucket list, I would definitely do that and do some diving off the coast of Thailand because it's absolutely amazing. Okay, so let's talk about bucket lists. Jasmine, Israel, Hawaii, Great Barrier Reef, Italy, and Switzerland. That's quite the variety, and I love the way that is that in priority, Jasmine? Or are these interchangeable? Because you could combine Italy and Switzerland in one trip. So fabulous. All right, so number 1, I hope you guys all have a pencil. So the first thing you're going to do when you talk about travel bucket lists is you're going to write down, like I had you do, all your wildest bucket list items. You're going to write them down, make a list, just like you just did. Make that list. Okay? All right, so a list is just a list. It's just words written down or on a board somewhere, unless you actually take action on it, right? And I'm not giving you an English lesson. It's just, that's the fact. It can be a list, just like a grocery list. If you have a grocery list and you go to the store, if you don't put your items from the grocery list in the buggy, you haven't gone grocery shopping. You haven't done your shopping. So my bucket list is probably, I want to say at least 10 to 15 things long, places long. But I know I'm not going to be able to do those things within the next five years optimally. I hope I can, but I know it's probably not going to happen. It's going to extend a little bit. So the next thing you want to do is you're going to pare down that list and prioritize it. If you don't prioritize, it's not going to work. So how would you prioritize your bucket list? Anybody have any thoughts on that? Oh, don't touch the face. Don't touch the face. So number one, you might have to prioritize because of budget. You may have to prioritize because of available time off from work. You may have to prioritize to family commitment. You know, you're taking care of your family. So all those things come into play when you're prioritizing that bucket list. The whole point of this discussion today is that you take that list and you take action on it. That's why we're going through all those steps. Okay, so are you going to go on this bucket trip list by yourself? Who wants to go by themselves? Give me a thumb. A thumb down if you don't want to go by yourself. Your daughters make the final decisions? Okay. All right, well, I don't necessarily mind traveling by myself, although I think traveling with companions makes the experience richer. Melissa, you travel with you? Yes, I enjoy traveling with you. And if you're lucky. Jasmine, you have such an extended family. There's no way you're ever going to take a trip by yourself. I mean, you just have family everywhere, and there's always going to be somebody to travel with you. Eve, I know you're a people person, so travel by yourself. I know that's not going to happen. Melissa, you may bring them, you may not. Okay. All right. So interestingly enough, the next thing you're going to do on your with your bucket list is you're going to identify your travel companions for each trip. So you're going to identify your travel companions for each bucket list trip. Can you see the things I'm typing? I hope so. Yep, there it is. Okay. So I may want to travel to, let's say, I'm taking that river cruise, and the Christmas river cruise, hopefully, knock on wood, Christmas Margaret River cruise in November. My husband doesn't really necessarily want to go, but he is open to taking another trip to Europe if we just set ourselves down somewhere and go out and travel on our own. So even though I love traveling with my husband, hey, Angela, I'm glad you came. Sorry about all the confusion. We had some technical difficulties this morning. For a trip like Bora Bora, because I know I'm going to the South Pacific, I probably will pick some of my friends to go on that adventure with me. Those that enjoy water, those that enjoy the sun, the surf, you know, all those things that are all about the South Pacific and the culture, the Polynesian culture. If I'm traveling on a cruise, I have found some cruise friends that enjoy cruising as much as I do. So as many groups as I can put together and escort, that would be the ideal thing for me to do when it comes to cruising. And of course, I want to take all my kids and my grandkids on any of the trips. Andrea said, daughters, you mean? That's great. Fabulous. Yes, I'm hoping, I really hope that one day we can all travel together. So identify the companions you're going to take on those bucket list trips. And just realize that you're not going to be able to take everybody on all those trips. You're going to have to be select. When I went to Portugal last October, it was with a group of travel advisors, but my best friend from high school accompanied me on that trip because she loves doing land tours. She doesn't cruise, so she'll never join me on a cruise, but when I do land tours, and Croatia is one that she's really interested in, that I'm really interested in. So I'm hoping that, you know, I have a different segment of my friends that can travel with me wherever I go. So make that list for your travel companions. Okay, so the next step, work out the most important thing, the budget. Work out the budget. So a lot of people, we talked a little bit last week about, there I go, I'll touch the face. We talked a little bit about travel and how some people think it's very expensive to travel. Hey, Pamela, I'm so glad you joined this afternoon. Some places it's still morning, but here it's afternoon. The budget component is very essential to your planning in your trips, but it shouldn't be the main component, because if you plan your trip right and you do it by itinerary, by destination, by your travel companions, you can plan travel for just about any budget, from high to low. It is a big one. Jasmine, you may be up for adoption. Hey, sister, come on. I don't like traveling by myself for the most part. So yeah, budget is a big one. Angela, poor Angela, she has a cruise scheduled for August, and she just wants to go on that first one, but she does love to travel. So budget, let's get back to it. Let me streamline back to budget. Have a number in mind. Yes, this is, I can't go past this number, or this is the general number. And remember that when you're working on travel itineraries, if you plan a land package, if you plan a connected package, you know, your air, your hotel, even if you rent a car, tours, anything that you have in that land package, you can do it a couple ways. You can do an individual itinerary, or you can do an escorted group. With the escorted group, everything is included in that group. Your travel, most of the time your flight can be connected to it. Most of your meals, your access to museums and sites and everything. Whereas in an individual itinerary, hey, Jessica, I'm glad you're here this morning. It's harder to do that. You have to piecemeal everything together. And then with an individual itinerary, you have two ways you can do that. You can do a set itinerary where you can take your time paying it, or you put it together piece by piece and pay one section off at a time. It's more value for the dollar when you're doing set itineraries, whether they're individual or with a group. You get more bang for your buck. So know that when you're planning a land package, that you can deposit and pay for it up to 18 months in advance, if not longer. If you don't already have a piggy bank for your bucket list, start an account. Start $5, $10 per week, and start building that, because again, your list is just a list unless you take it off the list and you take action on it. So budget is very important. Cruising works a little differently. You deposit and everything is included. Your food, unless you have to fly to a port. We're lucky that we have 2 ports within driving distance, and some people even drive down to Orlando, Fort Lauderdale area and take cruises out of there. The only thing that doesn't necessarily come with a cruise is insurance, and of course your excursions. You have to pay for those additionally. So again, it's not all one chunk that you're dropping down at one time. You can do it in segments. A lot of the vendors, like Roberta, yes. So you and I talked, Roberta, I'm going to use your Hawaii trip as an example. So when Roberta and I first started talking, probably almost a year ago, she was interested in going to Hawaii. So I looked at some packages that included flight, hotel, near the locations that she wanted to be. And those packages required a deposit, and then they had a final payment either 30 or 60 days prior to date of travel. The only issue becomes that flights can't be booked except for 330 days out. So you can go ahead and deposit your your package, your land package, oh, good grief. Did I lose you guys? Technology's not with me today, my friends. Technology's not with me today. Okay, so just keep in mind flights, we can deposit, but we can't actually book the flight except for 330 days out. So budget is important, but don't let it be the killer of your bucket list. You can work on budgets. Okay, so then the next item on, I'm still here. Sorry, technical difficulties today. Okay, so the next item on the list is you're going to set your travel schedule. Okay, set your travel schedule. Why is setting your travel schedule important? Well, if your bucket list is Italy and Switzerland, for instance, and I'm going to use Jasmine's bucket list as an example, Italy and Switzerland. So summertime in Italy and Switzerland is absolutely gorgeous, but so is the winter. If you're interested in winter type activities in Italy and Switzerland, then you're going to plan your trip for the colder months. If you don't want to deal with the cold months, then you have to look at what times in the summer do you want to go. Do you want to go in the heat of the summer, or do you want to go in the early or late? So setting your travel schedule is really important by destination first. So pick the time of the year that you want to go. I'm going to use Hawaii as an example. So Hawaii, it's gorgeous all year round, but there are certain types of times of the year that it's hotter than it is the rest of the year. And your water temperatures are going to vary. The Pacific, you know, when you're in the Pacific, it's usually a lot chillier than Atlantic Caribbean, even in the summer. But if you go January, February, that water is going to be very chilly. So just take into consideration the time of the year when you want to travel. You look at the climate, look at the recommendations of how many people travel during that time, because some people like to travel when not the rest of the world is traveling. And I'm going to use my Portugal trip last year to Portugal. We went in October. Absolutely amazing temperatures. It was 70 some degrees during the day. The evenings got chilly, and it was not crowded. I mean, there were people, but it wasn't like it would be June, July, August. Now, I know some people who are teachers or in the education system, you're kind of obligated to do the summer months right now. Just remember that also your budget also has to match your destination time frame. If you decide that the only time that you can travel is June, July, or the holidays, you're going to pay more. So keep that in mind for your budget. Okay, your health, you want to keep that in consideration when you set your travel schedule. If you have, for instance, arthritis, you may not want to travel during the cold months because, you know, the colder weather aggravates arthritis. So when you're planning your schedule, your health is number one priority on the list. Obligations, if you work, when can you take off? When can you take off for an extended amount of time? Because everybody's bucket list that I saw on here is not a short trip. Minimum of 7 days for most of these, if not longer. Of course, cruising, you can go anywhere from 3 to 4 days all the way to around the world in 128 days. Holland America offers an around the world voyage, 128 days. Amazing. I did the Holland America Academy 2 days ago, and I was just floored by that itinerary. Your travel schedule is also all about costs. We talked about that. Travel threats, probably shouldn't have used that word. So travel advisories is probably a better word to use. So when you're planning your trip, your travel advisories, you need to look up, and you can do that at the U.S. State Department or ask me, and I'll be glad to look that up for you. You want to make sure that your chosen location does not have any active travel warnings or advisories. And if they do, you need to be knowledgeable about them. For instance, Israel. If you travel to Israel, are you going to be going through Jordan? You need a visa when you go through there. All right. Is everybody still with me? Okay, popularity is the last thing on your travel schedule. Popularity. So how popular is your destination and when are you going to go? Again, if you're not interested in going when things are really, really packed as far as travel, oh good, now your thumbs up. We got a little delay going today. I personally don't like traveling during peak season. For instance, I probably will not ever travel during June, July in the cruise season, simply because my other part of my job keeps me very busy with the pools, but because those are the travel months for people who have school-age kids and everybody is out traveling. I prefer the off seasons. And again, that's personal choice. You have to pick and choose when you set your travel schedule, what time of the year. Yeah, Wayne definitely doesn't like too many people. So your schedule is definitely a big, big issue for you. You have to look at the location that you're going and, value your privacy versus being able to do everything you want to do. Okay, so any questions about the bucket list and how you go about knocking things off that bucket list and actually taking those trips? Any feedback, any comments, any questions? We have a little delay, so while you guys type questions, I'm going to go. All right, so how many of you guys have been dreaming about travel while we're all cooped up in the house? Me. I will not lie. I will not lie. And I know Melissa's been doing it as well because she's been texting me, hey, Carnival sent me this. Hey, when are we going on our next trip? Hey, I have some ideas for trips. I'm the same way. I've been dying. Best cruises for teenagers and destinations. That's a good question. So knowing your teenager, she's pretty easy to please. So I don't think you need to be as particular about what cruise line you use for your trip versus your destination. I think Annabelle is very much about culture and learning things versus the bells and whistles of the slides and stuff that you have on the ship. Destinations, if you can, I'd pick a Bahamas itinerary. It has both culture. Any of the Western Caribbean and the Bahamas itineraries are lovely. Number one for first cruise, number two for the water quality, the locations, the climate. And again, choosing which cruise line depends on how much you want to do when you're on that ship. I had mentioned last week that I prefer the smaller ships. They're a little bit more quiet because when I'm on a ship, I like to relax versus traveling on a larger ship that has, the golf course and the basketball course and everything else but some people that's very important, that they have activities for their teenagers, for their younger children. So when we get to the point of actually planning your trip, let's look at a couple different cruise lines and a couple different itinerary sets, maybe Western Caribbean and Bahamas, because you have both options going out of Galveston and New Orleans. Roberta, question, with this virus going on, do you think I'll be able to get a passport in May? That's an excellent question. And those three words that I really, really don't like, I don't know. President Trump has indicated that he wants the country to come back to normalcy by the end of April. But in the medical world, we've not hit the peak yet with this virus. If you're watching the news at all, if you're watching medical updates at all, if we have not hit the peak in mid-April like we have, things are going to be pushed down a little bit more. So will you be able to get your passport in May? Possibly, but probably not until towards the end of May. And then I think it's going to be based on, because there's going to be a big influx, it's going to be based on date of travel. So if your travel is within, let's say, the next 6 months, you may get priority over somebody whose travel might not be, for 7, 8, 9 months. That's just my educated guess at this point. If this virus has proven anything, it's that every day we have to be flexible. We can't stop dreaming. We can't stop planning, but we have to be flexible at all the news. And when I say news, all the new things that are coming our way every single day. So did I answer your question, Roberta? Anda, that makes you eager to go on yours. I am keeping my fingers crossed for you and your family. I know Cameron she's her senior year, and Jasmine has a daughter in her, Janae is in her senior year as well. They're quarantined. What a way to spend your senior year. I got into so much trouble my senior year, I can't even count on 2 hands the things that I did on my senior year. Broke my leg right before graduation. We won't go there. If you know me personally, you probably know that story. Okay, so it's 1:42, and as you guys are typing any other questions, I'm going to wrap up with a couple of other announcements, okay? Starting on March 31st, my home office, Cruise Planner's home office, is starting a new contest that will encompass all of our clients and all the people that we have that are on our pages on a regular basis. It's a CP social contest, and it's called For the Love of Travel. Watch for the details to come out March 31st. They will select a winner, I think it's by the end of April, for a trip for 2 on Celebrity Cruise Line. If you follow the rules that and they'll be posted on my page for the contest. So that's huge. Our home office has been absolutely phenomenal in all of this, so CP's strong. I announced last week that each one of these lives that I do, I'm going to give away a prize at the end of it. And I'm going to give away another wonderful, beautiful candle from, there we go, from Glass Flowers, who unfortunately is closed right now because they're all, all non-essential businesses are closed. But I'll be giving that away at the end of today. My last live will be April 18th. And here's how you can win the $100 Carnival gift card. Here's how you can win it. $100 Carnival gift card. So I'm going to take the list of people who participated last week, the list of people who participated this week, and everybody's going to go in a bucket. Okay, so Anda, even though you won last week, you'll still be in the bucket for the grand prize. I'm also going to put your name in the bucket every time you share one of my posts. Every time, there's a lot of you that, June bugs, yeah, we've been feeding them to my chickens, Roberta, believe it or not. My husband scoops them off the porch every day and brings them to our new chicks. So anyway, so every time you participate in a live, your name goes in the bucket. Every time you post something on my page or respond to a post that I make, or you share it, your name goes in the bucket. For every friend that you invite to my page and they like the page and leave me a message, hey, Anda sent me, hey, Roberta sent me, your name goes in the bucket again. So on April 18th, I will draw the name for the $100 Carnival gift card. And the more you participate, the more chances you have of winning that $100 gift card. Next week, I ordered $25 rewards cards that will be good for land or cruise packages. If they come in, hopefully they'll come in before next week. So you can use those $25 on a land package as a discount for the cost of your trip, and same thing for a cruise. Or if you want, I can put it on OBC for you. So that's prizes that are coming up. So that $100 gift card for Carnival, share, and participate. Our topic for next week is going to be about destinations. So I'm going to take everybody's bucket list, and if there's some people that haven't posted about their bucket list yet, they can still do so on the event or on the page. And I'm going to take the top 5 locations that everybody, the word communal, okay? And I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about those next week. So I think Hawaii will definitely be on that list. Italy will definitely be on that list. And then I'll go through the list and oh, Jasmine, thank you. There was a lot of lag. Yeah, there's a lot of lag today. I think it's because there's a lot of people on the internet because they're stuck at home. What do you mean by those river tours? Okay, so I'm going to answer that question and then we're going to call it a day. Roberta, there's river cruising is another form of cruising. So river cruising is much smaller. For instance, the ship that you're going on, I think has a capacity of about 3,200 people. Whereas most river cruise companies, your capacity is 200 or less. And there's river cruising all over the world, primarily in Europe, in Southeast Asia, down the Mekong, excuse me, in Egypt, there's river cruising. It's all over the world. There's even some that cruise in America. There's river cruising in America, the main rivers in America, and in Alaska. So river cruising is another form of small ports. You get to see the interior of the country versus the exterior, like when you're on a ship cruise. Even though you get to visit the main ports on a ship cruise, when you're on a river cruise, the ports that you go into are smaller, and your excursions are, I'm not going to say better, but they might sometimes be a little bit more historic. There, that's a good word for me to use. I'm about to add river cruising to my bucket list. Might need a new piece of paper. Well, the lists were on our event page, so download them, fill them out. I'll give you an extra point if you post a picture of your filled out list on this event after we get done today. So another great live. Thank you all for joining me. I'm sad that Chad didn't get a chance to jump back in with our technical difficulties. But this week we'll probably be very busy in the travel world. We're ending the end of March into early April. A lot of the travel companies thought, we were going to start seeing a turn within, 2 to 3 weeks. But I think the longer this goes on, unfortunately, the more extensions we're going to see and suspensions of service. So unfortunately, this week will probably be pretty busy for me as I get the Carnival message on Monday. I'm going to knock on wood. I want to say probably about 75% of the people that I have booked for April, May, and hopefully June are talking about rescheduling versus cancellation. There's the companies are offering a lot of good promotions to keep the travel business going and to incentivize travelers, to keep traveling. I know I'm not stopping travel. I rebooked my cruise that was canceled for April for September 12th. I'll be heading to the Bahamas on the cruise that was canceled for April. You know, I'm not going to stop traveling. We just have to be very cautious right now. So thanks for joining me. Next week, it's all about destinations. Is morning or afternoon better for everybody? Just give me a quick comment, morning or afternoon, and then I'll post what time the event is going to be. And then also post the winner of today's prize after we close out. It'll be posted in the event and on my page. Afternoon is better for Melissa. Afternoon. Okay. All right. So it kind of looks like afternoon worked well for everybody. I got my grass cut and got the pool service this morning. So now that I'm showered and clean, I don't know if I'm going back outside. I may be working on photo albums. My website's going to get some updates this coming week. This was great for you, either for you. Great. Okay, so it looks like afternoon it will be. Invite more friends. Remember, if you invite more friends and they mention your name, you get an extra point or an extra drop in the bucket. All right, see y'all next time. It's been a great time. I'll see y'all next Saturday. Let's just do 1 o'clock again next Saturday. And happy traveling, or happy dreaming about traveling right now at this point, right? Take care, everybody, and I'll post the winner of today's prize in just a few minutes. Thanks for joining me.